Today's first impressions video is on World War II Rebuilder Cities from the Ashes. It is a building simulator with a cause. It's very, very wholesome. You follow the story and the journey of a guy who couldn't partake in the war because he was too young, and his brother died in that war, the Great War. So what he does is, after the war has ended, he decides to put all of his efforts and energies into rebuilding all of the cities on the way to London, and you get more challenges and side quests as you go along. The voice acting is surprisingly good, the graphics are honestly beautiful, and the gameplay is very smooth. As always, we'll go through the settings first, and then we'll jump straight into the game, and I will show you what I like and what I dislike about it. Alright, so the settings. Interestingly enough, they seem to be a little bit broken. I don't quite know what I've done. All I did was change them. So the settings are a little bit disappointing in that you can only change the main quality preset, and be careful when you do. It started it on Epic because it's got a very good auto detect feature, but the second you change it, you lose the Epic setting. And I can't get it back. It's really weird, and I don't quite understand why or what's happened there. But you can't change anything else. Like, you just get the main quality preset. Then you've got your texture quality, shading quality, AA quality, shadow quality, and visual effect quality, post-processing quality, foliage quality, right? So there's a fair amount there. I would prefer it if AA and texture had their values as opposed to just being high, but that's just a personal preference for me. Then you've got your resolution, your frame rate, VSync on or off, motion blur, which is off by default. Really impressed by that. Also, I would note that the lines underneath each of the title is a little bit... It's a little bit confusing because I would assume that frame rate and VSync and on should be all under the same sort of mantle, or at least have it underneath here as opposed to underneath the word. It's a little bit confusing when you look at that. And then you've got your FOV as well, which is set to 90 by default. So it's not a bad settings menu, but I would like to know what happened to my Epic setting. I don't even remember what it was set to, whether it got extra epic options or not. I don't know. It's just really weird that it then disappeared and only went to high and custom. Audio, again, very nice to see that all the audio settings are set to 50, and the soundtrack is really nice. It's very relaxing and it's very periodic as well. Like, it sets the theme really nice. And then your input. This does work with a controller, by the way, which is kind of cool. I've been using keyboard and mouse. You're not really going to need a controller, but if you want to use a controller, you can, and you'll be glad to know that your key bindings, you can set them to QWERTY or AZERTY or even QWERTZ, or you can individually change each of them as well, which is really nice. And there is a lot of sort of buttons that you can press, but you're not really going to need many of them. I spent most of my time using the left and right mouse buttons, the number pad, Q and E, and F, and tab, and control and alt. So I used a fair few, but not all of them. You don't really need all of them. So there's your options. Outside of the weird video bug, I don't know if somebody knows what to do to get that back. They're not bad. They're not bad at all. There's some nice options in there. It'd be nice if you could maybe change the brightness and stuff, but that's just a subjective thing for me. When you start the game, you can see that you've got lots of different areas here that you can go to and start rebuilding. I don't know whether more of these sort of maps will open up down the game. As you can see, I'm 22% through the progress already. Or whether they're going to release those as like DLCs and stuff. But the map is fairly, it's quite in depth. I've been working on the UK, obviously, and when you select on the UK, you can see the different areas you go to and the different places you've got that are unlocked. It gives you a bit of a blurb about each mission, and it shows you your star rating and how many collectibles you've got from it. When you start a brand new mission, it will load in with a cutscene and some really good voice acting explaining about events that happened, and it does sort of reference actual events from history. So when we went to Gimbert Station, it was actually sort of paying homage to Sohom, I think it was, which was a train accident that happened at the train station, which I think is really cool and really nice. And then you start the mission and you go in and you will see what we do from there. Okay, so we're in the game. As you can see, like I said, it's very, very pretty. Like I normally expect some sort of half-assed, if you like, graphics from this and from games like these, but I'm actually really, really impressed. Like, the graphics are very good, the textures are fantastic, and it's eerie, but it's pretty, right? And then in the top left hand corner, you'll see that we have tasks that we've got to do, and you can then go in and see those tasks in greater detail. There's a lot to go through here, so we're going to go with tab first. You've got your journal, collectibles, upgrades, and game guide. We're going to go through the journal, and it will show you all of the things you've got to do, all of the extras, side tasks, and the more of these you do, the more stars you get. The more stars you get, the more upgrades you can then purchase and make yourself a better sort of reconstructor, if you like. It will give you a description here and a picture to show you where you need to go. So as you can see, we've got to fill the holes in the wall, got to renovate the chapel, we've got to clear all the overpass, etc. Then you've got collectibles. You've got a number of collectibles in each area that you've got to kind of find, and they all have sort of snippets and historical facts and stuff like that, which I find really, really cool and a nice touch. Upgrades. This is pretty standard stuff. There's nothing really, you know, wowish out of this. You've got your cleaning brush. You can change the size of it to make it clean a larger area. You've got detection cooldown, so you've got an ability that allows you to see stuff around the area that you can collect. You've got your duration and range of that ability. Then you've got the ability to throw your hammer, which, you know, very Thor-like. You've got a paint roller, which I've not actually used yet. Pocket size is incredibly useful as well. The more stuff that you can carry in your pockets, the better. Your shovel efficiency, starting funds, and your walking speed. This is going to be one that you're going to want to do, but you don't need to do, right? It would probably be beneficial to work on other trees first. So, your ability points, like I say, the higher star rating you get, the more ability points you get to spend. We've got 5. So I am actually going to go with my shovel efficiency, and I'm going to go with my pocket size, and then I'm going to go with my detection range. So as you can see, we're getting a nice build here. We've got a nice even ability counter, and then we're going to be basically carrying more things and being able to pick up things more quickly. And then your game guide, which will come up if you do anything new, and it's come up twice now on the previous map and the first one. My first gripe with the game is the mouse wheel. So basically, you've got 2 ways of going through all of your equipment and materials. You can hit the Alt tab, and it is just a tap as opposed to a hold, which I really like, and you can select it from here, or you can scroll with the mouse wheel. Now, the problem with the mouse wheel scroll is it doesn't make sense. You've got your hammer and your shovel next to each other, great, and then you've got to keep scrolling for ages to get to your blowtorch, right? So it's not in a logical sort of place. Like, it feels disjointed. It feels like some of the materials are put in the wrong place. Could just be me, could just be a subjective thing, but it doesn't seem to make sense to my brain, and it's very, very sensitive as well. So if you scroll too fast, it can be a bit of a nightmare. However, it is really nice that you can scroll through your materials and your equipment in order to build and dismantle things much, much quicker. Then you've got your ability, which is using the left control button. When you press it, it will show up and highlight everything that you can collect. which is really nice, and that's why you want to get an area, a wider area, so you can see it. Now, it's not really that difficult to see some things, but certain items, certain tasks in the game are quite well hidden, and that can be a problem later on. So, generally speaking, you want your shovel for the first bit. You will collect everything with the shovel until your pockets are full and you can't go any further. Certain things will require a hammer, and like this, certain things will require, I should say, your blowtorch. Which leads me to another problem with the tools. The blowtorch is incredibly awkward to use. I get why it is. They've gone for more of a realistic, you know, got to go down slowly and methodically in order to cut the metal that you want to cut. But it's very, very finicky in the way that it works. It doesn't always sort of track, like the collection almost, or the progress bar, sorry, of cutting the metal doesn't stay on screen for long enough, and as a result makes it very difficult to keep track of what you've done, and can make it seem like it's taking way longer than it probably should. But other than that, they're really the only gripes I've got with the game, because the rest of it is fairly straightforward. It makes sense. It's very logical. It's incredibly therapeutic to do. And it feels nice. And this is another thing you get in the game. If you see or come across shadows in the game, then you can see a cutscene of something that happened and what you've got to do in order to fix it and repair it. So that's kind of cool as well, the little cutscenes. There are people that you can talk to that will give you hints for where you can find stuff. And just generally you just go and you rebuild London. That's just what you do, and it's kind of cool. It makes you feel like you're accomplishing something, right? You're not just doing it because it's a job. You're not doing it to get paid. You're not doing it to, you know, benefit in any sort of way. You're just doing it because you want to be a good person, and you want to help rebuild because you can't sort of avenge your brother. And it's weird to play a game like this with such a strong storyline. Like, it's got better writing than most of the RPGs I've played. It's that good. This is a game that I would highly, highly recommend if you like simulators that you've got to go around and build stuff for, and, you know, all that good stuff. Now, as you can see, with my pockets being quite full, I can't pick up any more wood. But fear not, because there are areas around here where you can deposit all of the stuff that you have collected, and then you can use that as a storage to come back and get later. And generally speaking, the game kind of gives you more than enough of what you need, because you can then go through and get your extras, right? So, you know, if you need to put decorations down or whatever as an extra to get more stuff and more stars, then you're going to need those extra materials. So it's one of those. It's not a case of making it too easy. It's just it gives you what you may possibly want to get, depending on how much of a completionist and a perfectionist you are. We killed a rat. My bad. So this is the basic part of the game, right? You go through, you collect all your materials first. You've got ladders and cutscenes that show you things that are broken and what you're going to have to do to repair them and things like that. And as I've said, I really, really like this game. It's smooth. It looks incredible. It plays really well. Everything has a purpose. It's just good. Straight up, it's just a good game that I would recommend to any of my friends that enjoy these sorts of things to do. Now, as for what it is that you need to do, as you can see here, you've got the options that show you've got two things that you can use in order to get to higher levels. You can use the ladder, which we've just picked up, or you can use the scaffold. The scaffold is a bit taller, but the ladder is easier to maneuver and get into places, and you can rotate them with Q and E. And obviously when it's red, you won't be able to place it, but when it goes green, you will be. And you're going to go up here. Climbing is dead easy, and then it will show you what symbol it wants you to use, right? So we're going to need a lot of metal for this, obviously. We're going to go down here again. We're going to collect all the metal from the bin. We're going to start rebuilding. Your objectives are the numbers, right? So as you can see, as you look up, you've got number 3, you've got like 1, 2, etc. That was not what I wanted to do. I am a moron. I had the wrong thing open. So it's not really that confusing, and if you do get confused, you can always go through and look in your journal to see what it is that you need to do. And that's all there is to it, really. That is the game. That is what you do. You are rebuilding London as you go through. And it's a very cool, very nice feeling. It's kind of dope. Let me know in those comments down below what you think. Let me know if this is a game that you would play. Let me know what you think of the style and the thematics and all of the cutscenes and the voice acting, etc. I really, really enjoy it. I think I will be playing this a lot off stream and off of video making because it is just that bloody good. Thank you very much for watching, guys, and I will see you all next time. Ciao, ciao.